Hi everyone, and welcome to this video on Elicit for Effective Thesis. My name's Amanda, I work at OUT. OUT is a research nonprofit and we are building Elicit. We've been talking to Dev from Effective Thesis about how to make Elicit as helpful as possible for Effective Thesis students. So this video is going to introduce you to Elicit, explain what it is, and then show you how to use it for your research process. So Elicit is an AI research assistant built on language models. We are currently using GPT-3, and our vision is to try and automate and speed up parts of the research process. So you can think of Elicit as plugging into the overall research process to try and make it more efficient. And some of the key things that Elicit can help you with currently are, for example, figuring out your topic. So when you start research, you want to know, what should my research question even be? And that involves a lot of divergent brainstorming. Then Elicit can help you clarify your thinking. So when you're at the stage of wanting to narrow down your scope and figure out, operationalize the question and get very specific. Then one of the key parts of doing research, obviously, is doing literature reviews. So trying to understand what have people already done in the field and what is the frontier of research, and Elicit can help with that. And then you might also want to find potential advisors. And so Elicit can help with finding experts in a field. So I'm going to walk you through how to do each of these with Elicit following a research process. So say you're interested in understanding governance of AI. So the first thing you might want to do is run the task search effective thesis resources. So this searches over 154 resources compiled by Effective Thesis. And so we can put in here governance of AI. And so we get back the title of the resource, a link, and then some keywords about what categories this fits into. So we can see here that the top few results are all around governance of AI for political science, economics, history, etc. So I can open up these links. So this one is political science, I think. And Effective Thesis has these really nice structures on their website. So here we can see immediately, here are some example topics that you can focus on. So let's copy these into a document as potential research questions. Then they also have a section on, here are some experts in this space, so we can put these in as well. Then if you look at all the other links, they also have similar things. This one has research questions here that you can copy over. So now that we found a few Effective Thesis resources, we can start brainstorming more research questions with Elicit. So we have a task called Brainstorm Research Questions, and this just takes in a topic and then gives you back possible research directions that you could explore. So we can see here, it's coming up with what mechanisms and accountability structures currently exist to ensure the responsible development of AI. If we like it, we can start. So this one, to what extent will governments intervene or regulate AI technologies? How will the moral, ethical, legal concerns be addressed? Should AI technologies require pre-market approval? So once we've reviewed these, we can clear away the ones we didn't like. And then if we click show more like starred, it's going to show more research questions that are similar to the ones you starred. So you can guide Elicit in real time in the direction that you want. You can star a few more of these. And then if we want to guide it even more, we can take the research questions that we already got from Effective Thesis, and if we just paste them into add custom result, it adds them as new starred items. So now if we show more like starred, we're going to get even more that is similar to all the ones we've starred, including the ones we've added. And once we're done, we can get rid of all the ones we don't want and then download the results as a CSV. And what I often do is just copy this text into a document here. So we can say Elicit generated questions. There we go. So now say we want to narrow down on a question. So let's focus on this one. How can the US government invest in AI regulation? So the next thing you might want to do is run the Elicit task, help me be more specific. So this takes in a question and in a sort of chat-like interface, asks you questions to help you narrow down what you mean. So governments in general, maybe this is not so helpful, so we can get rid of that one. Then this one is interesting. Do you mean funding researchers? What does invest in AI regulation actually mean? Does it mean federal or other levels? Maybe similar to this one, state or federal? Then this one's interesting too. So is investment just money or time spent? And the next one takes it even further. Does it mean creating incentives for self-regulation? And then these two talk about, okay, what do you mean by AI? So are you talking about self-driving cars or AI development? So again, we can get rid of the ones we don't like, show more like star to get more. And then when we're ready, we can download the results. And we can just paste these in as things to think more about. So the next stage is we might want to understand what other work have people already done. So this is one of Elicit's main tasks, lit review, explore research questions. So this takes in a research question and then gives us back answers along with the papers. So this sentence here is basically a sentence, it takes the abstract and answers your question using it. So we can see this one doesn't look super relevant, so we can get rid of it. This one looks relevant. So one way they could regulate is by regulating Chinese companies investing in the US AI industry. So we can star the ones we like. This one doesn't look as relevant. Nudging AI developments, that looks relevant. So then we can go down and see, okay, what was the most relevant sentence in this abstract? And then if we need to understand more, we can go straight to the PDF and read the paper itself. This one looks relevant as well. It's saying subsidies, intellectual property, and these three specific categories, we might want to read the PDF to understand more. Then when you click show more like starred, again, this is giving you more that is similar to these papers. And the way it's doing it is by pulling in the papers that cite or are cited by each of these papers. So it's basically doing a citation tree crawl and then giving us back the most relevant ones. So if you just find a couple of relevant papers in the first set, you can then get a lot more relevant papers in the next show more like starred. So now we're getting more about AI regulation, should be proactive, the impact of AI regulation. And then this one's interesting. It's saying actually the meta process of AI policymaking should be examined, and specifically talking about AI for catastrophic risks. So then once we're done, we can also download a CSV of these results, or we can go to our starred results and see all of the results that we've starred here. So you can always go back and access those. So now you might want to find potential advisors or experts. So we have a task called Find Experts. And here we can put in researchers working on AI governance. And then we can go to our list and copy in an example, like Ellen Defoe, and let's find 50 people. So here I'm just looking for Google search snippets. And here I'm giving it a few keywords so it knows which Google search results are relevant. So I can run this task. Generally, the more examples, the better. So if you add 3 to 5 at least, it's going to work better. So then we open up the PDF and we can see we've got back a bunch of people working in AI policy. So Stuart Russell obviously works in AI governance. Helen Toner at CSET is a good one. Nick Bostrom, obviously. And you have these links here where you can look at the person and maybe find their contact details here, their email. So this is great if you're looking for people to talk to understand the space, people's books to read, Kai-Fu Lee would be a good author to read, or potential advisors. Great. So there are also many other different tasks that you can explore. So I just showed you a couple that are going to be most relevant to your research, but you can go through this whole set of public tasks and try them out. You can also create your own tasks if you go to Profile, Create Tasks, and then there's a button here, Create New Task, where you can walk through the flow of telling GPT-3, giving it instructions and examples to create a task that you want to try. Great. So that's it for this introduction. Thank you for watching. Sign up at elicit.org if you haven't already. And I'm very excited for you to use Elicit, and I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback.